it's Jessica. Welcome and welcome back to the Not Carrie Bradshaw YouTube channel / podcast where I discuss all things style, wellness, pop culture, and whatever else comes up from week to week. So much has happened since last we spoke, hence the delay. So I'm going to say this in as legal a way possible. For reasons that don't matter, we have more time to devote to our creative pursuits. I'm gonna leave it at that. I have been, for a while now, I think I've talked about it on the podcast, but I'm not sure, but I've been on a journey for a while to interrogate my relationship with religion, Christianity, my spiritual practices, all kinds of things. And a lot has happened recently that has kind of brought that to a head. Do not panic. I am not about to become one of those people. We're not about to be holy rollers or anything like that. I am merely delving deeper into a better understanding of what my relationship with God looks like as a 38-year-old woman from the South who was raised Southern Baptist, but moving to New York and expanding my world, right? My worldview has become very different because I'm not in this insulated community like I was, right? So I was raised I always questioned, why do we treat Christianity like it's the superior religion? Because even as a kid, I was just like, well, if no one can come and tell me that Jesus isn't the Son of God, then who am I to go into someone else's culture and tell them that what they believe is wrong, right? That never sat right with me. And I would have so many questions about what I was being taught as a kid. And you're not allowed to ask questions, right? Don't question God. That's what I was always taught. And I can remember even as I got older and I stopped going to church for a really long time, but before I moved to New York when I was still living in Atlanta, I was deep, deep, deep in depression, and I didn't have the resources to get into therapy. So I turned to church instead. Very dangerous. In some ways it helped, but in a lot of other ways it hindered, where I, just had questions about life isn't going how I want it to go. What am I supposed to do? And the answers never really acknowledging my humanity, right? I think that the way that I was taught Christianity, you were only allowed to see yourself as divine and not as human. And that always troubled me. So as I got older and I moved here and I started to just have more questions about what I was taught, one of those things was about fasting. I was always fasting, but the reasoning behind it never quite curled over for me. It felt like it was bartering with God. It was, oh, if you fast and you tithe, God can hear your prayers clearer, and it puts you on a fast track to getting the things you want out of life. It was like an MLM. And that just always struck me as strange. So I did it because I thought something bad would happen if I didn't do it, right? But I just didn't, it was like, well, why are we really doing this? And you're not allowed to ask those kinds of questions. So I'm very grateful that I'm in a place now where I have the resources and the community and like-minded individuals who we're just interrogating what these things mean and how they fit into our lives as women, because it just became so apparent to me that in the Bible, there was just no room for women. Women weren't fully realized people, and you definitely can't be a feminist in a Black Southern church, not the ones that I was raised in. It was very, you are supposed to submit to your head, and all of these things just deeply conflicted with the woman that I was becoming. And I was becoming a woman who I really liked, but I felt conflicted because I didn't think that there was room for me in the church that I was brought up in. So I was faced with a couple of difficult decisions in my career the past month, really. And my mom was like, well, you should fast, and you should fast. And I was like, well, why? And she's like, whatever. So I reached out to Reverend Solomon Missouri, friend of the podcast, and I, asked, because I like to be very considerate of content creators, right? Like, I don't want to ask you something that you've already answered in your work. So, and please keep that in mind when you reach out to these folks, or especially if you reach out to me. But if I've already covered it, please don't ask me to repeat myself. But I appreciate the engagement. Anyway, I, asked, like, hey, have you done any teachings, any sermons, any, whatever on fasting? And we had a conversation where he was saying it's maybe not so wise to look at fasting as bartering with God, because we don't always get what we pray for, but we fast to gain clarity and to show gratitude for the fact that we have something to fast from. That made sense to me. That I could get with, because the things that I don't want to give up in fasting, right, are things that are distractions, things that I run to for comfort, when I should be more so looking within to figure those things out. And as a person who is human, sometimes you just need, honestly, like sometimes you need to detach, sometimes you need the comfort. But the point at which you're relying on those things, it's like, okay, maybe if I take a step back, I can more clearly see my path. I can more clearly hear or feel or get some sort of intuition about what my next step should be. So I did it with more awareness of why I was doing it. And I shit you not, I very clearly saw what I needed to do. I very clearly understood this is the step that you need to take and you will be okay. And what happened there was I could also see where one of my patterns has been, I'm an external processor. I like to talk things out. I like to journal things out. I like to talk things out, especially with people who I know and love and trust. What happens is I sometimes can fall into the pattern of people pleasing. A part of people pleasing is that you assume that everyone else knows something better than you. You don't trust yourself to make these decisions. You want to, it's also a bit of perfectionism too, right? Like, you want to make the best possible decision because you are convinced that other people know so much more and so much better than you do. So you rely on their perspective on things and you seek their approval on things. And that's something I thought that I had conquered, but I still, when I'm in uncharted territory, I still find myself going to other places that I probably shouldn't. Like, I find myself going to the hardware store for milk, right? And so where I felt very confident and very secure that the choice that I was making was the absolute best possible one for me, and I felt very sure that this will lead me to a better place, I started listening to, well, what if, and what if, and what if from other people, and it shook my confidence. And in that, the space of clarity that I am in and was in, I remembered that trying to walk someone else's path is what led to so much depression and so many suicidal ideations before I moved here, before I moved to New York. There are times in life where people just can't see what you can see. And if you don't trust yourself enough that that vision or that idea or that path is for you, you will find yourself walking someone else's path. You will find yourself abandoning yourself, because to do what you might feel called to do, what you might feel is, your ministry, somebody else just really may not see it. And I know that factually because I moved to New York with no job and nowhere to stay. And my family and friends put together, I think I had like $500 or $600 when I moved here, and slept on my line sister's couch for a semester and just kind of figure things out from there. If I had have listened to the people in my life who they operate from an abundance of caution. I don't want to say that they're fearful, but there is a certain amount of fear to the way they live their lives. They have always kind of done things very standard, very, this is the way this thing goes. And it's always been very, very linear, right? Outside looking in. That's never been true for me. And I kept thinking that because I kept deviating from that linear path, that was what was making me unhappy. But it wasn't that. It was more so that I was just too afraid to trust myself. And once I did, so many things opened up for me. And I'm not going to say that living here has not been difficult, or that I have not encountered obstacles. But what I have developed is a closer relationship with myself and more of an awareness that I can trust myself to make the choices that are right for me. And it's okay if that doesn't sound right to someone else. And that has taken time to develop that confidence, that fearlessness, that self-compassion, that if things don't go the way we want them to, we don't have to abandon ourselves. That's me talking to me. And I think that right now I have the opportunity to delve into my creative pursuits in a way that I have not really had before. And that is scary and exciting and gives me a bit of anxiety, but it also gives me a bit of hope. And I'm going to do the best that I can, like with this time that I have right now to move forward. And it's so funny. I just ran into a homegirl very serendipitously. We're supposed to get together this weekend, and I was walking through the park and walked right into her. And coincidentally, we're in the same place. She's also fasting. She's also come to a crossroads in her career where she has the opportunity to really level up in this very specific way and wants the clarity of mind to be able to do that. So that just kind of, I feel like sometimes I just get like a little sign or a little inkling or a little something that you're okay. You're doing what you need to do. You're doing what you're supposed to do. And I'm just really grateful for that. I'm grateful that I had this time. I'm grateful for how everything turned out, even though it was a bit traumatic. And I wish I could tell you guys everything that happened. I legally cannot. So you'll be hearing from me more often. On the bright side, or I hope that's a bright side for y'all. But said all that to say, something that I have been sitting with and thinking about for the past like week or so as well, just from a content perspective, of like, am I using my platform in the best way possible? Because sometimes like you get in front of a camera, you have to have a certain amount of confidence that you know what you're talking about. And sometimes it kind of comes off as you know what's best. So I want to say that when we talk about Black women, other Black women, or women of color publicly, I think that we need to make sure that we're holding people in our community accountable, but we also have to accept that what looks right for one woman may not look or feel right for us. And the things that offend us the most, it's important for us to sit with the why. What is it bringing up for you, and what biases have you not addressed that you have this level of passion over another woman's choices? And as a feminist, as someone who is pro-choice, I have had to really sit with the fact that her body, her choice extends to a lot of things beyond abortion. What one woman may find thrilling and in her wheelhouse of joy, to quote Shan Boodram, I may not get that, but it does not give me the right to condemn her choices. I think I talked about this before, but a few months ago, who is it? One of Future's baby mamas. Is it Future? Or it, she has a kid with Bow Wow and Future, I think. I forget her name. Joy? The girl who's a dancer? Anywho, people were talking about the fact that she has like multiple baby daddies, and I think she was trying to defend herself and just saying that like these are relationships that just didn't work out, and it just happens. And people were responding with, "Girl, you do not have to have a baby with every person that you're in a relationship with," which is fair. However, I was talking to a couple of my friends about this who are mothers, and I was like, it just seems so hard. It seems like such a hard life to live, or such a hard, it seems like you're choosing a certain struggle to repeatedly have children without secure partnership. And a couple of things: no partnership is secure. I know people who are married who are still single mothers. I know people who did everything quote unquote right, did everything the right way according to our like Southern Christian upbringing, and they still ended up being a single mother. And I had to realize anyone is capable of being a single mom. Even if you have a healthy, loving partnership, what if something happens to that other person? Or what if something happens to you? Anybody can become a single parent, and we need to destigmatize that, especially as Black women. There are no guarantees. And then also, some people find so much joy in motherhood that they would make that choice 100 times over, no matter how challenging it is. I cannot conceive of that. When I see women, especially living here in New York, and I see women with multiple kids and they're carrying those strollers up and down those steps, or even when I'm in like the pizza shop and just seeing a parent wrangle multiple kids, or even one kid, I get overstimulated. So the idea of choosing to do that over and over again alone is so foreign to me. To make a choice to have several children in this economy, in this political climate, without even the possibility of secure partnership, that sounds horrible to me. But that doesn't mean that I can't give space to someone who that's what they want. They find joy in that, even in the struggles. When I first moved here, people who genuinely loved and cared for me would say these take digs at, oh girl, it couldn't be me because I need da 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 da. And I found it hurtful because I was so insecure about the choice that I was making at the time. But it was also just like, oh, okay, that's okay. You're walking one path, I'm walking another one, and that's okay, right? It's okay for us to, it couldn't be me, but we have to be more careful about the way we critique each other's choices and what unknown biases might be inspiring those critiques. I know in my past relationship where I really thought that me and that man were going to have kids together, and I wasn't too sold on marriage. I'm still not sold on marriage. I know that I want long-term partnership, but I don't know if that looks like marriage or if it looks like a traditional marriage. I don't know. I haven't met the right person yet. But in having conversations with the women in my life who I trust, it became so clear to me that one of my brothers, his mom has been telling us our whole lives, when you are a mother, you're always a mother. The baby is always yours. Men get to pick and choose when they want to be fathers. And I thought, what a pessimistic way to navigate the world. But she was so right. She was so right. And I'm sure that if I had taken that path, if I had walked down that road, I'm sure everything would have been fine. I'm sure there would have been joy in it. But on the outside of it, to choose to be a single parent seems so wild to me. But I don't think that it's right for me to critique, criticize, cast aspersions on someone else's choice to do that, because maybe I can't see what they can see. I can't feel what they can feel. And a part of genuine empathy is not necessarily putting yourself in someone else's shoes, because there are some places that you simply cannot go. If it's not your experience, it's not your experience, but you just have to trust. You have to believe a person when they tell you, this is what I like. Just believe them, right? And think that as Black women, because especially as Black American women, we just often feel so critiqued, like we are under a microscope, like especially like at work or in the public eye. People look at us in a way they do not look at other people, and I think we feel so invested in how each other like are perceived, right, that it becomes like a problematic collectiveness. We don't need to buy into she gonna make us look bad, or oh, you feeding into the stereotypes. We don't need to buy into that. We really don't. So as I'm taking steps to dive more into my content and my creative pursuits, I just want to think more intentionally about the ways in which I'm speaking about people, but especially people who look like me. I am so invested in our joy and in our ability to thrive in this world, but I don't want to do that at the expense of your humanity, or without understanding that maybe you just like some shit that I can't conceive of liking, and you're not hurting yourself or anyone else. So maybe it's just okay to like let that ride. So it's something that I'm just kind of like thinking on, and just making sure that the things that I say and the things that I put out into the world are productive and are useful and aren't coming from unaddressed or unknown biases. So that's where we are. I'm going to be reviewing, recapping, discussing season 2 of Interview with a Vampire on the YouTube channel. So I did one single video about season 1, but I'm gonna record content episodically for season 2 because it's spooky season. I'm excited about it. The weather is starting to be just a little bit like fall. I think we might be in fake fall, y'all. And I'm one of those people, I love seasons, but I really am partial to late summer, early fall. So I'm absolutely thrilled. The days have been absolutely beautiful. They're giving me hope, Chair. So I'm here to celebrate spooky season. I will be doing it in that way, and also creating more content because I have to play catch up to meet my episode goal for the year. So I will talk to you guys very, very soon. Thank you for bearing with me. Send good vibes. Join the Patreon. We need it now more than ever. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, rate, review, do all of the things. Do the free things. Do the things that might cost you a coin. Show support. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.